Good evening.
Hello, welcome to Prospects of Kidkind. I'm Eliza.
And I am Celia. Today we have both Philip and Clara here with us. Now let me tell you a little bit about them so you have an idea of the sort of discussion we'll be having this evening. First we have Philip. He went to Brown as an undergrad, and then he got his PhD in pure math at Harvard. He got his MBA at Harvard, and then he joined the Boston Consulting Group. He was a principal there.
You're going to run out of time if you go fast.
So anyways, he started a small software company, and that was an early acquisition of Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank. He retired 15 years ago, and he is here today. We also have Clara here. She's 9 years old. She just got into the 4th grade. She cares about animal rights, very passionate, and she is an actress.
Okay, so are you guys ready? Today we'll be discussing animal rights and money and business. So our first question, and Claire, maybe you'd like to start, is should we eat animals?
Well, that's kind of hard to answer because I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
So I don't accuse anybody who does of being a bad person, because it is kind of natural if mostly everybody around you is doing it. Mm-hmm. So I'd say I'm doing it because I like animals, and it would be nice if a lot more people didn't, but what I think is that it's only really going to make a difference if a lot of people become vegetarian. Mm-hmm. So
How did you become a vegetarian?
well, one, a lot of my friends were, and actually in preschool I was vegetarian.
Oh,
But
wow.
last
Preschool.
year I just decided I just wanted to actually do something. I've loved animals all my life, and to be honest, I kept thinking they were gonna come alive in my mouth, and it was really creepy. So
That's awesome.
I just became
Scary. Cool. Okay.
Imagination.
Yeah.
So, Philip, what do you think that we should be eating animals?
Well, I think first I'm very happy that Clara doesn't condemn people who eat animals.
This would be very awkward.
Yeah, this would be challenging. We'd have to sit on the opposite sides from there. I think there's a lot of arguments around it. You can there's of course health issues that a lot of people would cite. There's some sustainability issues. It takes a lot of water and land and so forth to raise cattle and to feed them and so forth. Mm-hmm. But I think in terms of the moral side of it, I think it's kind of like if you were starving and your choice was I kill my dog or I starve to death, you might end up killing your dog. In normal circumstances, I assume you probably wouldn't even think of doing that, right?
In theory.
And so it's
misbehaving.
right. So if you're in Nigeria or some country in Africa where they eat bushmeat, animals that they hunt there, it's sort of like what's their alternatives on it. I can understand that perspective. Mm-hmm. Here, where most of us have plenty of choices of stuff, I think it's a tougher call. I have to say I think more and more people are sort of coming around to Clara's view. I mean, you have to be careful as far as making sure you get all the proteins and that kind of stuff there. But I think more and more people are coming around to that point of view. I'm a holdout, I'd have to say, ethically, I have to say I can see the merit for it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Great. Why do we care about some animals more than others? For example, do you care when you kill a bug, say a mosquito who's biting you, versus a horse?
You want to go first?
Well, I was gonna say that no, I wouldn't kill either of them. But the reason I think that people kill some animals more than others is because they have a better relationship with them. Like, you don't kill, in America usually, dogs and cats because they're intelligent and you can have a relationship with them. But bugs, and chickens, and cows, people don't usually think of them as very smart. So I still disagree. I think all living things, it gets kind of complicated when you talk about plants or living things too, but anything with a brain or heart or something like that, I think we should try not to be violent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Point.
What about you? Why do you think that we value some animals over other animals?
Well, I've never killed a horse, so I can't react to that part of it. I guess I come out a lot of the same directions that Claire is going in, but maybe a little different implementation of it. I think she's exactly right that when you have a relationship with something, or you can see the possibility of a relationship with something, it makes it seems more worthy, or maybe put another way, it seems that ending that life has a higher cost associated with it. Presumably, the mosquito doesn't realize what's happening to it. It wasn't going to go on and create some great symphony later on in life, or raise its mosquito grandchildren. The flight of the bumblebee. There you go. There you go. There you go. So I think there is. That aspect of it. I think it extends though beyond the idea of just killing and eating. It used to be the case that cosmetics, which fortunately I'm not a user here. Cosmetics would be tested on animals, even some very nice animals like beagles, and the tests were not very pleasant things at all. Most of the companies have moved away from that. But we still use animals for medical research. Now, the argument in favor of that, of course, would be that you're ultimately doing something that's hopefully going to save human lives.
And you can't use humans to do the first
and you can't do, the arguments there. So there is a kind of a moral trade-off, I think. There's a referendum in Massachusetts this year on cage-free. A number of things relating to treatment of animals, but cage-free eggs being one of them, which for somebody who has a reasonable income seems like a good idea. If you're on the lower end of the economic spectrum, where the cost increase in food might be significant, maybe a tougher trade-off. Definitely. So I think it's hard maybe to generalize, but I think directionally it's sort of clear everybody would like to be less cruel to animals in general, including killing them.
Yes.
Well, I think that if you're gonna if you're going to try to do something to save somebody or a lot of people, then if you're not sure it's gonna work, then don't try it on another living thing. We don't do it on people because we have relationships with them.
Right.
But animals, they also have relationships with each other.
Right.
And they just usually don't have the power to actually protect themselves like
This
we
is
do.
true.
Like, we can't protect yourselves from a mosquito because it's so small. That's one actually way of protecting itself. But the animals don't have as much power. That's why.
This is true.
And also it's the law.
Well, there's also a trade-off there, though, because if, for example, smallpox which has been eradicated, used to kill millions of people. Malaria, just 10 years ago, would kill like 3 million people a year. Now it's down to about 400,000. The trade-off is a lot of mosquitoes have died, so that those rest of those people will live. And when it comes to you develop what you think might be a vaccine, let's say, which you know if it works will save lots of people's lives. But then how do you test that? Forget about the move to kind of test it through science and modeling and things like that, which is a great thing. But absent that, you have to try it.
Absolutely.
To see. So do you give up the benefits or do you accept the benefits there?
Yeah, that's tricky. This is kind of a good segue into our next question. Maybe a little gruesome, but this is something that I think about a lot. So in the future, we're going to have so many people, and I know we're going to run out of food, and people are going to naturally die. Not like we're purposely killing people, but they will die. Do you think that maybe one day it'll be okay to just eat people that are already dead, you know, like old people or someone that had already naturally died or maybe got in a car accident? Would it be sort of like a waste almost to not eat them? Like, you know, instead of killing animals for that or something like that? What do you think?
Just like zombie apocalypse?
It's a little zombie apocalypse, a little bit Soylent Green, but Clara, what do you think?
Well, I think that if we could...
It's a tricky question. But Celia's uncomfortable with me asking this question.
I thought I had the answer to this.
Maybe Philip would like to go first, and then we can get back to you. Okay.
So you're thinking when you meet a new friend, you might describe them as delicious? Is that
That's the idea. One day you'll eat your best friend.
Well, I think I think it's kind of you in your predicate to the question. I think you sort of touched on the key thing, which is the context of it. Most of us wouldn't go out and shoot somebody on the street to eat them.
But like
on the other hand, the Donner Pass people, people who were trapped in a mountain pass with a snowstorm, and they knew they couldn't get any rescue then, and they did engage in cannibalism there in order to save the remaining one. I think gruesome as that would be under normal circumstances, if you're sure that the only choice is everybody dies or some people live, then you might do it. And the premise of your question being you're running out of resources and that sort of thing on it, you might decide that there's something better to do on Saturday nights than have more children there. But I think the idea of the trade-off there, because we don't eat people because you're right, as Clara said, we've got relationships with them, and so but in the circumstance where there's a need for it, I think we could reluctantly accept it.
I see. Clara, what do you think?
Well, I kind of agree with him, but I get really creeped out by that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I am totally afraid of the dark. Everything like that.
Yeah.
So, I just think that if we are going to be open to that resource someday, hopefully when I'm not alive, hope no one needs my dead body though. So I think that it wouldn't, if we have that resource and there's enough of it, then we shouldn't, we should probably have less of it to animals because there's, there's less need for it.
Right.
And if your pig suddenly dies, you can eat it. And
so this is more like an extreme. Like if the people are already dead and are running out of food, would you?
Yeah.
But then it's more okay.
Well, I think she's making the point that if you've got a dead person already,
Yeah.
and your choice is to kill a living animal,
Then it is.
for, you know, that's an
That's a
interesting.
good point.
Yeah.
So instead of leaving your body to science, you could like leave it to Pizza Hut or something.
Totally.
Yeah, new flavors at Pizza Hut. Okay, so we are going to segue into the business portion of the show.
Okay.
Celia?
So, people say it's not personal, it's business. What role do you think that morality plays in business? Philip, would you like to take this one?
Okay. I think there's two kinds of morality that you're talking about there. One is an individual's behavior, and you don't suddenly stop being a human being because you've gone to work in the morning. You're still dealing with people, your actions still have consequences, and you still have a responsibility to try and affect those consequences. So I think that personal morality doesn't change. I think that whether the business has a morality can be tricky, because first of all, if it's your business, you own it, do what you want with it. If it's somebody else's investment, resources, and money that you're gratuitously giving out for the moral purpose, that's a little harder to justify or to see how it plays through. I think there's also, though, on top of that, there's the question about, is your company in a business itself that's moral, that you have to address. For example, the obvious example would be selling cigarettes, say in the 50s or the 60s, or even today. Some people would ask that about fossil fuel companies. I'm not endorsing that view. I'm just saying that's something that people would have to ask themselves. When I was actually at BCG, we got I was a very junior guy, just started. We had a project with a beer company, which it turns out, after we started working with them, it turns out they were making illegal payments to distributors in order to get their product better coverage. Now, it wasn't my decision to make at the time, but the officer that was in charge of the project decided that, I'm sorry, that's just not business that we want to do. Now, we were a very successful company making a lot of money, so it made it fairly easy to be moral. Maybe it's tougher if that contract is putting food on the table for you. But I think that the main point is that morality doesn't stop at the office door.
Well, what I think is that, if you should kind of put it into everything. I mean, if you're putting it into your life, then your work, you should be happy there. So you should have morality there but you do need to earn money. So there's a balance between that, I think, because if you're gonna trick somebody into buying your product that's poisonous or something, then that's a little far. Or if you're making one different product that's out of pure gold and putting it out on display and then selling them fake gold watches or something, that's a little far. But I think you should be nice to just your customers, whatever your businesses, whatever your clients, your students, you should be nice to them. But you also need to earn money, so you can't just be here's free cookies and a free dinner, and because you need to make them pay. Maybe you'll make it a little cheaper if other things are expensive or something, but you need money. Just
Definitely.
well, you need money to, if there is money. I don't know if you need money in life, but
Okay.
while there is money in life, you do need money.
Hey, this is a great segue. This is going to be like a one-word answer, and I want to know what the most valuable thing that you own is. Just tell us what it is.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna give a short explanation too, because it's kind of a little weird. I think it's my snail collection.
Awesome.
I have a lot of pet snails, and the reason that is because I love animals, and I have 1 cat and 3 fish, but I have hundreds of snails, so I would put that into, because there's more of them, so they're worth more than a cat or 3 fish, because there's more of them.
Very cool.
What about you?
Actually, I think that the older I've gotten, the less valuable the material possessions have come. And I realize it's easy to say that when you have material possessions. But I gave a talk a little while ago to a business school group, and I was saying that this is about some things that had happened 30 or 40 years ago to me. And the point of the story was the money that was involved, I'm not even sure how much it was, and it didn't really matter much today. But I still remember doing what I still think was the right thing to do. That kind of thing mattered. So I think that your relationships and the way you treat people become more and more valuable to you. And you can't go back and change mistakes that you've made. If you're a jerk to people when you're 25.
Your prom dress choice.
You're going to remember those things later on. There's a temptation to say, well, I'll just do this because I need to get ahead, or I need to get that promotion and stuff like that. Later on, you're not going to remember the promotion very much.
So physical, like relationship.
Yeah,
with people
relationship
are the
things and
most
how you
important.
act, I think, is really important.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, so our next question. So Philip, you sold your company to Kevin O'Leary.
It wasn't just me, but
Yes, you and your
Partners.
friends. Yes. So we'd like both you and Clara,
Who is the judge on Shark Tank, by the way,
Yes.
now? Before Shark Tank was around, they sold the company to Kevin O'Leary. Yes.
So we'd like both of you guys separately to, in 1 minute or less, pitch us an idea for why we should buy your company, something that you haven't ever pitched before. Just
Some made-up company. And we'll be the Shark Tank judges.
ha.
I can be Mark Cuban.
Okay.
But maybe like Mark Russian. Okay, so
Go ahead.
you want to go first?
Okay.
Yes.
So it's kind of lucky because I actually have a life plan.
Perfect.
So I just love thinking about when I grow up. So
That's great.
it's kind of crazy at first, but it's like, so like in college and stuff, it'll be like 3 things probably.
Okay.
Dog walker, babysitter, pet sitter, stuff like that. Mini jobs, just to save up money. And then plus my allowance, which I probably won't get in college.
You never know.
Still waiting to get my allowance.
So, then it's like kind of like a lodge, but not really. So I don't want to live in the complete wilderness. So this is just an idea for a place that I thought would be pretty good. Glenwood Springs in Colorado. My friend just told me about it and thought it was nice. So I could live there and then have like a lodge up in the mountains. Also note the middle of nowhere is usually pretty cheap. So, and also, but it would kind of be like animal based.
Okay.
So I might have some like farm animals, a lot of pets, and like dogs and cats. And
Also, we're running out of time. Just so you know.
Yeah.
so, and then I could.
1 minute left.
So, one of my ideas was making like kind of like bird houses, dog houses, tree houses, just animal houses.
Animal
for
houses.
animals.
Perfect.
In
Okay.
the woods, and then put video cameras so my guests could watch them.
Okay.
And then
that's
my
cool.
grand plan, Africa.
Nice.
Africa, okay. And maybe in like 15 seconds you could tell us your idea?
Actually, a person that I know that I'm helping out a little bit has a great idea. It's a robot about this tall, very furry and fluffy, that can interact with children. And sort of in the 6 to 10-year-old range is probably the ideal for it. Now, it's dangerous because you can leave them on, but I think it's a great idea.
That's great. Okay, that's the end of our show. We're out of time. Sorry.
Well,